Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Dwayne Adams, and I'm here with some Aka buddies.
Hey, how you doing?
What's happening?
Hey,
How you doing?
Hey, Acappella.
We're talking about hymns for all the world. Hymns for all the world. Wouldn't you say this was a little different than some of the other albums, or would you say it's a lot different?
It's out there for sure. Yeah, it's out.
You
It's
know,
different.
I think it reached the world.
Hmm.
Yeah. That was so profound.
Robert, this is your first.
Boy, that'll preach. That'll preach.
Your first a cappella album, Robert, that you were on the full album. You've sung. Did you sing back up on a lot of different projects, even with the a cappella company, right?
Yeah. In fact, this was my first a cappella project as one of the four, and it was quite different, man. Just coming off the heels of spirituals and gospel, and I don't think we had done gospel, but it was different. I was like, wow, I'm one of the four. And then we started when the album was all done and all that, and the first two songs on the album, I'm leading off. I was like, oh no, y'all put me first. Oh, but that was a great experience, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you started off as a backup singer and intern, and tell us what do you remember about that?
Oh yeah. So I was born in Dallas, Texas, in 1959.
Good.
So fast forward, after I graduated college, John Green told me about Acappella and George. And then George got in touch with me and said, hey, man, you ought to check out this internship. So 2 weeks after I graduated college, I moved to Tennessee. My mom says, what are you doing? Are they paying you? I say, no, it's an internship, but I love singing. I love ministry. So got in there and started, traveling on the road and setting up equipment, driving trucks and setting up equipment and singing background singing background with the guys. And just so much experience. Really on a serious note, so much experience went into that internship. Which after I traveled on the road, I don't know how many months it was, but then I went into the studio, and so I wasn't on the road anymore. And I was in the studio doing an internship, and I'm learning how to record with John Laws and Gary Miller and Gary Minor. And that's when I started working on spirituals. Actually, you guys were working on Set Me Free. And so you were on the road, and boy, we had Anointed in there, and they were putting the background vocals, and he was working them like Barred Muse. And but they were terrible. Man, they were getting it in. I mean, just cutting up. So we
okay, Muttley.
So fast forward, internship turned into, and then I think I was downstairs in the intern house, and Keith came down there, and he worked his way through the darkness, and he says, Robert, tomorrow, I said, hey, y'all know Keith, he kind of doesn't get right to the point. So he said,
To the point.
So he says, there might be an opportunity. Would you, consider going out on the road with us? And I said, well, yeah. I said, well, when? He's like, well, we're leaving in the morning. So the rest is history. That's when Wayburn was transitioning out of the ministry. And I think it may have been the next morning or the next day, I believe, is when we were leaving, or sometime really soon. Got on the road and started touring. Next thing you know, we were going overseas, and I had to get my passport I think we were in Nebraska somewhere. And I had to get my passport so I could travel overseas. And it was just a quick, fast transition.
I remember that. Yeah, it was a roller coaster. It was cool.
How many artists, when you think about the recording of albums, how many artists actually track themselves in the studio? I guess it's more common now than it was back in the 90s, where most of the time you had an engineer and an artist versus someone doing the actual tracking themselves. But some of our guys actually did some of that work, but we had some great engineers. So let's talk about what do you remember about this album? Hymns for All the World?
Oh man, speaking in tongues for one thing.
Or singing in tongues.
I know, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
it
a
was,
linguist. I remember a linguist coming and working with us on
Uh-huh.
lead work, whatever we were in. I remember a lot of new arrangements, right? Didn't we have some people come in and help with arranging songs and just putting their taste on what? That's what I remember quite a bit.
Yeah, that was the first time we'd ever actually had sheet music before we actually started recording. That was very, very rare. You know.
Yeah.
Mo, you may have to say that again because people who are watching this are, again, musicians are surprised that we didn't use sheet music until this point.
No, it was all arranged right there on the spot, you know. But it was the two Dons, Don Marsh and Don. Who's it? Yeah.
Perry on? No.
Don Perignon.
It wasn't him.
They wasn't no Don Perignon. I guess wasn't one of them an arranger for Glad also? I think.
Yes.
So, a couple of those songs would have had a total Glad feel had we not kind of put our own spin on it just a little bit and kind of adopted it to be ourselves. But
but you know what? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You know, I was, to be honest, when I first got in the group and I'd heard, you know, the previous albums and just gotten off of spirituals and other, so I was like, oh man, the next album, what it's going to be like. And so when it was all the sheet music and I came from Harding singing in choir and chorale and, you know, everything was sheet music, I was like, where's the fun in that? But I can tell you this, I testify and admit, I didn't think the album was going to be much. I was like, it's going to be kind of hokey. You know, we had songs, which we'll get into, some of the songs with whistling. And I was like, what is this? But I'm going to tell you, by far, I kid you not, this was my favorite album.
Really?
This was my favorite album, especially to record to. Besides the spirituals, because I had a lot of freedom and some of that stuff. But honestly, the variety of the album was just, I kid you not, I hope people worldwide that this album gets me even now. As I listen to it, I'm like, wow, this was some incredible stuff.
Yeah.
You're right. A lot of variety on the album.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up spirituals. George, you guys, we'll have to work it out for you to do a spirituals video where we talk about all the magic that you guys put into that album. But for Hymns for All the World, yes, this was the first time we really searched and utilized outside arrangers because we pretty much did it all in-house. So that was a dramatic step for us to hire these arrangers of different styles and bring them in. And what I remember is when we'd been with Word for Rescue and We Have Seen His Glory and Set Me Free. And they were saying, you know, all these different artists, especially those who've recorded a lot of albums, then they record a hymns album. And they said, guess what? Their hymns album is the most popular one. Mm-hmm. So they said, we suggest that Acappella do a hymns album. And I remember talking with Lauren Ballman and their marketing department and creative folks. And they said, well, don't just do a hymns album, put some kind of a spin on it. And that's how the international flair came about, the international. And how, I have no idea. Mo, do you know how many languages are on this album?
6 or 7, I think. If you count George's Rastafarian, 6 or 7.
Rastafarian is not a language. Mo.
Oh, it's not. It's not.
Gary Moyers. We call him Mo. You did a lot of arranging on this one.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that happened. I have a suspicion. That was about the time that I had set up a little home studio thing in my basement, and I piddled around a lot down there, just trying to, ideas for this and that. I think several of those, at least for the first 3 songs, I think it is 2 or 3 songs, kind of came out of there. And but you know what? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to change subjects because
it's all right.
Well, the thing I remember was the photo shoot for the album.
Yeah, tell me about that.
I've told a lot of people about that because it was shot in a graveyard,
Yes,
And
that's
Was
true.
it really?
at sunset.
No,
Isn't this the album had
no, that's beyond a doubt.
No.
No. He's right.
Uh,
We just decided we didn't want the graveyard shot, and they.
Well, isn't this the back cover?
Yeah, it is. It's the
Yeah. There were actually 5 guys in the shot, but you only see 4 of us. Yeah, that's
Right.
the front.
That's the front.
So what was the back?
It was in the graveyard.
I don't think the back shot is not on the reprinting. It's on the
Right.
original print. Yeah,
Exactly.
Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't remember.
It was.
so it was a gorgeous. I mean, it was a gorgeous, massive gravestones, and he waited until the photographer waited until right at sunset, just some, the golden hour they call it, or whatever it is, and he wore all black. Remember this? He wore total black, so he wouldn't be seen in the shot, and the only light he had was his handheld poof 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 thing, a little flash that he would charge. So he stayed in constant motion and would move from person to person, stick that light in her face and pop it off and keep moving. Go around the next person, pop it off and keep moving. I don't know how many times he flashed that thing on headstones, on different spots of our body, all over the graveyard. And but you can't see him, because even though he's all over the shot, he just kind of he left the frame open.
Oh, I don't remember that at all.
I know. I blacked out.
Is that right, George?
Yes,
that's right,
you're
George.
right. That's right.
2 of you remember it.
I thought it was weird though. I was thinking, what kind of album cover is this going to be in a graveyard?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of happy it never took.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I thought it was so creative.
Well, and I remember we got a whole lot of those, a whole lot of clothes. Didn't they bring a ton of clothes for us?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that was. Keith's praying.
Here.
There he is.
There he is.
I dropped out.
Like
You thought you took a second to pray.
I do remember. I do remember all the
Robert, show me that cover again. Okay, so tell me about this studio pose. What did he say? Look up, look down,
man.
choose up. What?
Weren't we listening to some music at the time?
Yeah, they had music going. They brought a bunch of clothes from someplace in Nashville, brought a bunch of things over, made me cut my hair, grow up.
Yep. Doing that is what do you call it?
His mother.
I remember that one guy just looked at me and said, "It's time to grow up, son." Okay. But also, yeah, a lot of linen stuff, but he didn't tell us where to look or exactly. We just all look in different directions, I think. I don't know.
It was like just make different poses, and
yeah,
I don't remember what he
I
told
think
us.
they did make a suggestion or two about emotions. Think about this, think about that. As you're looking. Wait a minute, Gary, look over there. Just small things.
Mhm. Yeah.
But that one, the shot that they chose for the album cover was one of, I don't know how many hundreds.
I thought he said, think of your favorite food.
I was like,
Right. What do you get?
Oh, is that what you're doing? Look at Keith.
Oh no, Keith, he went to sleep again.
Oh, poor Keith.
Keith, you keep falling asleep on us. What's the deal?
Hey, I wasn't there for the photo shoot, so that was
That's
intriguing.
funny. You look like you're like, okay, this is boring.
No, this is not boring. This is not boring. Dwayne, what did it feel like to? You'd been bass on Rescue, and We Have Seen His Glory, and Set Me Free. And now you're baritone and lead and tenor. And
Did you go away again, brother?
He
he did.
did.
You want to hear my answer?
Oh man. He must have a bad
I
connection.
don't know. Should I keep? I mean,
Yeah.
No.
Let's go ahead. Tell us.
well, he's gonna pop back in here in a minute.
That's right.
Cut it all off.
Just wait for him to wake up. Come on, Keith. Come on. Come on.
There he comes.
Hey,
He disappeared on us.
Disappeared.
He's been raptured. It's the rapture. We're still here.
When the grave robber comes.
Hey, I'm having internet problems here. You just keep talking while
you work
I'm
it out.
still on the screen, but I'm frozen.
Yeah.
Just keep talking. Okay, I didn't know what to do because you asked that question and I saw you go to sleep, so I just. Like,
Did you answer the question?
He's got dropsy. Oh, that's terrible.
Hey,
that's not right. That's not nice.
do you remember the marketing campaign?
Very much.
For hymns.
That was big.
It was.
Jog my memory.
It means something a little differently today, but the whole theme was experience global warming with Acappella hymns for all the world.
Wow.
That was the big push. Experience global warming. Of course, our reference to global warming is God's love warms the earth and his good news. And we were doing it with music. And so the experience global warming, I remember that was one of our biggest campaigns ever as far as marketing, where we had, do you remember the postcard, the old timey postcard that had, it looked like an antique kind of a postcard, and it had different countries. And so there was a lot of tie-in with global warming and hymns for all the world and the international aspect. But
hadn't the rock just come? I mean, hadn't the wall just come down in East Germany?
Yeah, that was, I can't remember what year.
And I think that, I mean, some of that marketing that we sent out, a lot of albums to people came with a little piece of that wall.
Mm-hmm.
But,
it was a pivotal time, but that I remember that campaign.
I remember something about the postcards when you mentioned it. I remember something about the postcards having an antique look and countries being named all over. But I wish I'd kept some. Do we have that in the warehouse now?
What warehouse?
No. So
the one down the road.
Oh, that one.
Have to check on eBay.
Right.
So who worked with you guys with the language coaching of the pronunciations? Because if we were going to have all these different languages, I know we brought in some specialists. And do you remember having someone, George, did you have someone with a Caribbean accent to help you with that?
Unfortunately, they didn't get anyone with the Caribbean accents to help me. I had to rely upon what my wannabe desires. But I did have somebody. I did have somebody that came in and helped me with the Spanish. He actually was helping with the Spanish, and then we ended up using him as a narrator.
An actual voice, yeah.
Right, in one of the songs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll get to that. That was great. And no, I think you were the most authentic of everyone trying to do other dialects and styles. But what do you remember with the French, Dwayne, and the Russian?
Well, the same guy. It was Jonathan Sargent did the translation from both the French and the Russian.
I thought you had gotten him. Did you get him, or did he come? Did you come, or where did
I can't remember. I feel like we may have called like ACU and asked for a language specialist or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I know it was a lot of work for me. I mean, I don't know French,
but nobody would know that.
No, you did a great job on it.
Nobody would know that.
I still remember some of those phrases, but he was very, very patient and you try to get notes right and make it still feel free flowing, but then, you didn't really pronounce it right, or you really didn't. I don't know what you were saying, but it wasn't French. I was like, oh, okay. Well, what did it sound? I mean, the notes are okay, and then be vice versa the next time through. So it took a little longer. It did. It took longer.
You guys had the easy part. I mean, the hard part, because for the most part, I did a lot of bass and bass sounds, and then every now and then my part would come in with actual lyrics. So hats off to you guys. Y'all are awesome, man. There's no beginning to your talent. I mean,
you're doing the pretty bench thing over there. But I tell you, those. I know we're not talking about about Acappella Espanol, but I mean these guys who helped us here were nothing compared to the drill sergeants who came from Mexico City.
Oh my God!
Who put us through the ringer on Espanol.
But, it was like phrase by phrase by.
Oh man, alive! Yeah.
And trying to have a musical sense, it was just hard.
So this is.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say this is interesting because there is an opportunity that I'm hoping that some kind of way we capitalize upon. As I had forgotten all about that whole concept of global warming. Well, there is a lot of transition in the Middle East right now, and has been for several years. A lot of Muslims coming to faith. And the one thing, they don't have any of our music. And if there was some kind of way, I let them listen to a cappella hymns for the world. It's funny that this is the album we're talking about. But I let them listen to hymns for the world because I was trying to explain to him that I sang in a group that did contemporary gospel music. And I don't know what he was thinking I was talking about, but it wasn't what it ultimately, it was, he had something else in mind. So I said, well, just listen to this. And I let him listen to it and his eyes got really big. And he said, I get it. He says, we don't have anything like this. He said, but we couldn't just take the music as it is in English, because in their country, in order for it to receive radio airplay, it would have to be in Arabic. But man, it's a whole nother world out there. If we could take any one of our albums and do some Arabic translating, and I've talked to some of the people there, they would gladly supply the people to help us. What do you call it? Transliterate the music. So just a word for us, just in case that's something we ever desire to do. They were mesmerized at the music. It took me several minutes to get my music back from him. But he said they couldn't use the English as it is, but they loved it. They just said, if we could get this kind of sound in Arabic, it would be incredible.
We need to find someone who is very musical and who can, as you adapt the same ideas, since the rhymes don't work. We have some friends in France that are doing a lot of the praise and harmony things, and they are just masters at taking the concepts and the ideas and the words and putting it into French. And so you need that musical creative part too, but that would be an amazing project that I think it would be worth our time. And I think we'd love to do that. And so this album was a landmark album for us. And now let's get into the songs. We chose songs, I think, that are some of the greatest hymns ever written, and at least some of the most well-known ones. So we'll start off with the very first song, All Hail the Power of Jesus' Name. And Mo, tell us about this. It starts off in Russian.
Yeah. I think, as I recall listening to it earlier, I was really amazed with the kind of fascinated at the time being with the concept of cascading harmonies. Start with a single note, and everything just kind of falls off that one note like it keeps going, and they break into chords as they go. So the entire introduction in Russian is sort of that same. Even past the introduction, when you get into the English, it still does it. All that cascading stuff keeps going, and it's like a waterfall. So that was kind of where it started.
But the lead is handed off. The baton changes. Let's see, because you're doing it first,
Mhm.
and then who's it go to?
Robert,
Robert.
I think. Me.
Yeah, Robert's second. Yeah.
And then George, and then back to Robert. So it's amazing that the transitions it goes through.
That song constantly, it was like, because it was somewhat repetitive, and just like that in both the first two songs, but it constantly built. It just kept building and building and building, which gave you, it's like, okay, what's next? What's next? Is it a key change? Is it, what's going on? It just really dynamic musically, made it interesting. It could have, in my head, it's like, okay, where's this going to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the song is, to me, it evokes a high church. Oh, hail the power of Jesus. So I love how it moves along, and by the end, George puts his magic on it, and I thought, how did it get from here to where George is? Ain't nobody gonna stop us from praising Him. Great, how this took it to a whole different realm. And it's just, I love what y'all did with this. All hail the power of Jesus' name.
Iisus Hristos, Iisus Hristos, nasz Gospod i Car. All hail the power of Jesus' name, let angels prostrate fall. Bring forth the royal diadem and crown him Lord of all. Bring forth the royal diadem and crown him Lord of all. Ye chosen seed of Israel's race, ye ransomed from the fall. Hail him who saves you by his grace, and crown him Lord of all. Hail him who saves you by his grace, and crown him Lord of all. Let every kindred, every tribe on this terrestrial ball, to him all majesty ascribe, and crown him Lord of all. Oh, to him all majesty ascribe, and crown him Lord of
Oh, that we're beyond a sacred throne, we at his feet may fall. We'll join the everlasting song and praise him, Lord of all. We'll join the everlasting song. We're gonna praise him, oh, yeah. We're gonna praise him. Oh, ain't nobody gonna stop us now. All we're gonna do is praise
all of the glory.
Announcing Praise and Harmony TV. P&H TV is the inspirational way to fill your life with music videos of brand new songs of worship and hymns. P&H TV also provides masterclass education for beginners to learn fundamentals of music, as well as the quickest method to easily learn how to sing harmony, featuring hundreds of videos which isolate one harmony voice part at a time for ease of learning.
I know the Lord will find a way for me.
Hear fascinating history of classic hymns of the faith. Enjoy videos of Christian singing group Acappella, including vintage material from The Vault.
We bow down and we crown you the King.
Be blessed by full-length music videos of the international ministry of the Praise and Harmony Singers. Share children's videos as well as songs for teens by Regen Harmony. Praise and Harmony TV also features documentaries of behind-the-scenes events, including a specialized podcast for song leaders.
There were no gods.
P&H TV contains resources for a wide variety of assemblies, including videos specifically designed for worship services, weddings, funerals, and special holiday events. New content will be added every month. Sign up today for the annual plan and save big money. Praise and Harmony TV is here.